do you think we are in a bear market right now? And number two, something I was interested in, there are a few different theories. You probably know the 4-year cycle theory. And there's also another theory about lengthening cycles. And even though you are, of course, a long-term investor, price will be, to a certain degree, in the short and midterm, also interesting to you. So I really would like to know, do you think we are in a bear market right now? Do you actually think this is just the beginning of a much bigger run towards the upside in the mid run, let's say? And what do you think about the 4-year cycle theory and the lengthening cycles?
Well, I think we're in a consolidating plateau, and I think it's a pretty good plateau because there are all these conventional mainstream investors, and they've been watching Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin was going up too fast, when it was running parabolic, they're afraid to buy in. But right now, sitting in a plateau where they're a lot more likely to buy it. By the way, return looks to the. We got some really great news this week. Miller came out and he announced that half of his personal net worth, half of his personal portfolio is invested in Bitcoin. And he said the other half is like an Amazon. He's held Amazon for 25 years or whatever. And, Amazon is famously volatile. It went through lots and lots of 80% downs and a 90% drawdown. And he's just been sitting forever. He's like a classic hodler. And Amazon's big tech. In essence, what he said was, I own digital gold and I own a big tech retailer, and that's half and half. Now, a year ago, he said, I have some, but he never said 50%. Yeah. Now you've got all the other mainstream investors that have some gold exposure, the Paul Tudor Jones, the Stanley Druckenmillers, and the Ray Dalios, and the, fill in the blank. And they're all starting to wake up to this. And when they see Bill Miller, who's runs multiple billions of dollars and is a billionaire in his own right, saying this is the only thing I can find that can go up by a factor of 10 to 50, that also is a store of value asset, right? And then they start to pay attention. Now, if Bitcoin was trading at an all-time high and it was like on fire, they'd be afraid. But you kind of like the idea that Bitcoin is 40% off the all-time high and it's catching its breath, and you think maybe this is an entry point. And in fact, I've seen lots of high net worth individuals and family offices that they're just now starting to do an allocation to Bitcoin. Like maybe we should allocate 5% or we should allocate 2.5%, February they would have been, or March or April or May, they'd be afraid. And now they're through a lot of the risk, the China crackdown de-risked the situation. The consolidations de-risked the situation. Every single publicly traded miner, every miner that comes public de-risks the situation. All the political, the regulatory clarity is de-risking the situation. And so I don't think we're in a bear market. I think Bitcoin it's moving through this phase where it moved from 4,000 to 40,000 with volatility, and it's going to move from 4,000 to 500,000. I mean, the next plateau is the gold plateau, right? To basically digital gold replaces gold and flips gold, and that's like a $500,000 number, I think. And then after that, it's really just a property index or a monetary index, which should be 10x that. What I see is a move from where we are to 500,000 over 3, 4, 5 years, and then a move over the following 3 to 5 years. It could take 10 years, but a move in the next epoch from the 500,000 to $5 million range. Because ultimately, people say, what is Bitcoin?
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Well, Bitcoin is the apex property of the human race. It's the only property you can truly own. So the question is, who wants it? Well, everybody in the world with weaker property. So what is weaker property? Well, how about like a second house in Africa? Like how about land in the middle of Africa or Asia or South America? How about a building? And fill in the blank. Would you rather own a building in Venezuela or Argentina? How about a ranch in Colombia? Like everywhere in the world where you have excess money and you want to invest in property, the problem with investing in a currency derivative is the currencies are collapsing, right? And they're collapsing at 10, 15% a year in the Western world, but they're collapsing at 40%, 50, 60% a year in the developing world. So bonds, they're weak property. Real estate is weak property because you've got a politician that can do, they're going to tax it and they can take it away from you and you can't move it if you need to leave. And you can only rent it to people in the country. So, and then equities are weak property because the CEO controls that equity. It's a security. And if you own securities, the bank controls it. Like, let's say you own a security, you live in Zimbabwe. Well, the government of Zimbabwe can take it away from you. Try buying it at JP Morgan. They can take it away from you. The CEO can print more equity and they can take it away from you. A random government, in Australia can put a fine on Google and they can take it away from you. A union can unionize, right? So if you're holding securities, you've got lots of risk. If you're holding real estate, you've got lots of risk. If you're holding gold, well, the bankers can print more gold paper and the gold miners can mine more gold and try to move through an airport with $10 million of gold, or try to move through an airport with $10,000 of gold. Try to move through an airport with $1,000 of gold. I tried to move through an airport with a pen knife that Amazon sold me, and it was labeled as TSA friendly. I couldn't get a knife that's like a quarter-inch or half-inch blade through a metal detector in an airport. So your property is all weak, all of it. And so how much is weak? Hundreds of trillions of dollars of weak property. So ultimately, I think that there are 8 billion people on the planet, or shortly will be 8 billion people on the planet, and they're all going to want some amount of digital property instead of like that second Airbnb or that investment property or that equity. I even did a little survey on Twitter where Cash App let you decide whether or not you wanted to give someone the gift of a stock or the gift of Bitcoin or the gift of cash for Christmas. And I actually put in a survey. I said, what do you want to give away? Cash, stock, equity, or Bitcoin. It's like, 93% Bitcoin, 7% stock, and the return was 5x the NASDAQ. Like that is to say, everybody intuitively understands that equity or securities are risky and that Bitcoin is property. And so it's like a 20 to 1, 10 to 1 or 20 preference if they need to own something.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.